Hey there, everybody. I am popping in today to talk to you about classic spring florals. We are past the holiday season. We're starting to see some of our favorite retailers coming out with spring flowers in their floral selections, in their floral aisles, and I wanted to talk to you about what some classic spring florals are, some of my favorite blooms and greens, kind of how to put them together, what some classic combinations are, and just bring you into some really beautiful stuff. So let's get to it. First of all, I want to talk to you about what some of my very favorite blooms are and explain kind of some of the differences between them. When I think of spring every single year, I think of a peony or a penny, right? Depends on where you grew up, what you might call it. I usually call it a peony. I swear my mother called it a penny, like no O in there at all. But when we're talking about a peony, it looks like this, and it is my favorite bloom. It usually blooms in my yard right around Mother's Day. Always makes me think of my mama. So they have these gorgeous ruffled blossoms, and when you're looking for one in a faux, again, just make sure that it has a full head, that you've got a lot of ruffly petals here to work with, and that its head isn't falling over, that it's got some good structure to it. So that's one of my favorites, this pink peony, and they always have these really lovely centers right in there. You can see back here behind me that I styled them in a, we've got a pink peony and a pink rose spring wreath, which is working out really well for Valentine's Day, but it's going to transition me right through the rest of spring. So that's kind of what I've done with some pink spring florals. And then for a few other favorites, I love a good hydrangea. Now those are going to bloom, of course, in your gardens all the way through the summer months, but you'll start seeing them coming out again with retailers in the spring. So we've got a couple of different hydrangeas that we can talk about as it relates to this shape. First and foremost, we have this cone shape, right? So it'll be called like a cone head, obviously, because it's got a good cone shape. I usually find these in white. Sometimes you can find them in a silk floral in a lime green, like a limelight or a little lime hydrangea, they're called. And I love this cone shape. It's really good. But traditionally, typically, you'll find what's called a mop head. So this is a white mop head hydrangea. It also comes in, there's a bunch of different colors. It also comes in green. I love this green. Let me get a little closer so you can see that it has a little bit of a pink center in it. That's always really pretty. It mixes well. Again, if we were mixing, right, see how lovely that would look together, pulling that pink in. Blue is a classic. Everybody thinks of blue when you say the word hydrangea, right? Because they're just so beautiful. And classic blue is the 2020 Pantone color of the year. For most of the world, that doesn't really mean anything. But what that does mean, if you're in the design industry or floral design industry, it means expect to see blue everywhere this year in home decor and fashion. And these blue hydrangea are going to fit really well in with all of that. And so we covered white, green, blue. Here's a really lovely white with some green in it as well, in a mop head hydrangea. So those are a couple of my favorite blooms, peony and a hydrangea. I also love what's called a ranunculus, and it almost looks like a miniature rose. Here's a white one, white ranunculus. And then I also have a larger head here in this gorgeous green. Really, really pretty. Let me share with you a few of my favorite greens for springtime. Eucalyptus is a classic. I use it all year long. It's really seasonless. Most greens are, but it pairs really, really nicely with spring blooms. So I love eucalyptus. I also love the softness and almost silvery color of lamb's ear. And these are the two greens that, again, I put in this spring wreath back here behind me. I paired those peonies and those pink roses with this eucalyptus and with this lamb's ear. I also really love fern, which you think of more traditionally as a summer green, but it's so fun with spring because its taller structure gives a different texture and a different shape when you're pairing it with a big blossom like that, right? It just gives it a little bit of texture there. And then I'm going to throw you a wild card, and this guy gets a bad rap. It's called gypsphila. Baby's breath. It's baby's breath, okay? That's what it is. It's baby's breath with the big fancy Latin name. And again, it gets a little bit of a bad rap, especially in the floral design world, because it's inexpensive, and because it's inexpensive, people kind of discount it as a lesser than. I love it because it fills out well. It doesn't cost a ton of money, but it's going to be a really good filler. So those are some of my favorite greens and favorite blooms for springtime. When we talk about what colors go together, I get asked that all the time. Hey, Kara, what colors can I put together? Here's the dirty secret. If it grows in nature next to each other, it can go together. There's no hard and fast rules here. So all of the colors that you saw me pull out today, green, pink, white, and blue, will all look really, really lovely together. Let me just kind of grab a couple of things here and show you exactly what I mean. So I've got a couple of hydrangea here. Let's throw this guy in the mix. Snuggle a little blue in there, and let me just tuck in a little extra pink in there, right? So if I just wanted to make a quick and easy spring centerpiece, that would do it right there. Quick and easy. All four of those colors, together would be really, really pretty. So don't get too hung up. Don't get too worried about mixing your spring florals. So those are some of my favorites. I would love it if you would drop a comment below. Let me know what your favorite spring flower is or your favorite spring greenery is, and I might just include it in one of my upcoming projects this spring, which will be a ton of